Hey everybody, and Tony here with a review of Jules Massenet's Manon, live from the Metropolitan Opera House, which I saw last night at the Kino del Couture Brauerei. The conductor was Maurizio Benigni. The production and costumes were done by Laurent Pelly. The sets were done by Chantal Thomas. The lights were handled by Joël Adam, and the choreographer was Lionel Hoche. Out of all the operatic adaptations of Antoine François Prévost's Manon Lescaut, there are two that have come into my mind and have therefore become parts of the standard operatic repertoire. And those are Puccini's Manon Lescaut and my personal favorite, Jules Massenet's Manon. Sure, there are other operatic adaptations such as Daniel Aubier's Manon Lescaut, which was written back in 1856, and Hans Werner Henze's Boulevard Solitude, but these two, Puccini's Manon Lescaut and Massenet's Manon, are the ones that are the most popular and have also been performed all around the world. Even though this particular opera maintains the standard plot of how De Grieux and Manon met each other and fell in love, and how the relationship bloomed, yet crumbled, and bloomed once again only to experience a tragic end through Manon's death before being deported, or even what happened in the original novel when Manon died in Louisiana, leaving poor Chevalier de Grieux alone in the world. Massenet's operatic adaptation has additional characters who nonetheless move the plot. We have Guillaume de Montfontaine, who is a licentious tycoon and the minister of France, who has the hots for Manon and covets her so badly, only for her to reject him on a consistent basis, thus spurring him to have his revenge in the gambling scene when he accuses De Grieux and Manon of cheating, and even Manon being De Grieux's accomplice in cheating, thus sending them to prison, and even what was going to happen with them with their tragic fate. Dupétigny, who is a wealthy nobleman who introduces Manon to a life of luxury, wealth, and culture, who doesn't really have any ulterior motives other than to serve as one of Manon's suitors. The three actresses, Poussette, Javotte, and Rosette, who are essentially the belles of France, and De Grieux's father, Le Comte de Grieux, who begs his son to return home, accept his inheritance, and keep the De Grieux family name alive. On top of that, there is even a ballet scene done by the dancers of the Paris National Opera. My experience with Massenet's Manon has been limited to the very popular arias for both Manon and De Grieux. In Manon's case, we have Voyons Manon, Adieu notre petite table, and the gavotte, Je marche sur tout le chemin, which have therefore become quite the popular concert pieces for many lyric or lyric coloratura soprano, and De Grieux's En fermant les yeux and A feuillet douce image, which have both become very popular concert staples for many a full lyric and light lyric tenor. With that said, let's get on to what I thought about the production, costumes, singer, conducting, and chorus. Laurent Pelly's production of Massenet's Manon transports the action from 18th century France to the time of Massenet when he wrote this opera, and even during the time when he was alive, which was the mid to late 19th century. In general, the sets do paint a general picture of what France looked like at the time, but it kind of lacked in variety and it kind of lacked in a lot more detail, and there were several moments where it felt kind of frigid, especially in the opening scene, which was kind of the low point of the production. But the third act was an absolute thrill in terms of the sets and in terms of how much luxury was put into this particular scene. The Saint-Sulpice scene, which has also become a very popular number for many a tenor and a soprano, was darkly lit, probably to show that cloistered life that De Grieux leads as an abbot of this particular church. And even though I would have loved to see a lot more murals in that said church, I still thought it managed to kind of heighten the overall psychology of how de Greux spent his life in that church. But my most favorite moment was the gambling scene in which everyone was dressed to the nines, and it had that sort of ominous feeling to add what was going to happen between de Greux and Manon through the hands of Guillaume de Montfrontin, who was planning his revenge on both Manon and de Greux all this time. As I stated before, the costumes looked absolutely amazing, especially Manon's dress when she was singing her gavotte. It looked absolutely wonderful on her. So overall, I thought that the production and the costumes looked rather wonderful in its own special way. I would have loved to see a lot more variety in terms of the sets, considering that this was France of the mid to late 19th century. We could have had a lot more trees or murals in the church, or even more paintings here and there that could have also heightened how artistic and how much of a cultured city France is. I still have to go out of my way and say that Laurent Pellier and his crew managed to make a solid effort in terms of how they managed to bring the story of Manon to life. And now we get to the singers, starting off with Lisette Oropesa as the eponymous heroine. A lot of musicologists say that Manon is the French Isolde, considering that the opera not only has a long duration, which is about 4 hours, including some breaks in between, and even the fact that Manon is on stage nearly the entire time, but it's also because of how vocally challenging this role is. Much like her Italian counterpart, Violetta Valeri from Verdi's La Traviata, and even that of Donizetti's Lucia di Lammermoor, she has to navigate a lot of coloratura work and even be dramatic and lyrical in some moments. So essentially, you need the fine coloratura work of Blonde from the Entführung aus dem Serail, and also that of Constanze from that very same opera, Fiordiligi from Così fan tutte, Lucia Ashton from Lucia de Lammermoor, Marie from La Fille du Régiment, Amina from La Sonnambula, Elvira from I Puritani, Gilda from Rigoletto, Violetta Valeri from La Traviata, Antonia from Le Comte of Man, Adèle from Le Comte d'Henri, Mathilde de Chabrun, and even Marguerite de Valois, and combine the lyrical attributes found in roles such as Pamina from the Zauberflöte, Melisande from Peleas and Melisande, plus the vocal acrobatics found in roles such as Juliette from Romeo et Juliette, Mireille from Mireille, Philine from Mignon, and Ophélie from Hamlet, to make the challenges of this role fully realized. So the fact that she has to sing all of that coloratura in her gavotte, as well as be lyrical in her very first aria, Voyons Manon, and even her second one, Adieu notre petite table, definitely says a lot of just how challenging yet exciting this role is. And it's no wonder why this role has been attracting so many sopranos, whether they be lyric sopranos such as Geraldine Farrar, lyric coloratura sopranos such as Bidou, or even sopranos who can sing both the lyric and coloratura soprano parts such as Fanny Eldi and Germaine Ferraldi. This role has become very iconic for many a lyric or lyric coloratura soprano. And I thought that Lisette Oropesa stood her ground and really proved herself to be a very fine singing actress. Sure, I do have a lot more developed voices in my mind, such as Fanny Eldi, Germaine Ferraldi, Victoria de los Angeles, Bidou, and my personal favorite, Ileana Cotrubach. But what Lisette Oropesa managed to accomplish was really thrilling. Sure, in the first half of the opera, her chest tones weren't really that strong, but they got a lot more solid later in the opera, especially her death scene, where her chest tones did show some development. If you know me and my experience with Lisette Oropesa, I have been following her career ever since I was a teenager. She essentially started off singing a lot of small roles and even soubrette parts before moving up to the coloratura soprano roles so that she has been very well known today. From her beginnings with roles such as Sophie from Werther, Nanetta from Falstaff, and even Susanna from Le Nozze di Figaro, she has nowadays found herself in roles such as Marguerite de Valois from Les Huguenots, Amalia from I Masnadieri, Violetta Valéry, Lucia de la Mermure, and of course, Manon. The development that she has had in her career shows that she has continued to stay dedicated to her craft and she is not going to back down anytime soon. And words cannot describe how proud I am of Lisette Oropesa for being able to conquer this role with a lot of vivacity, charm, beauty, grace, and a lot of charisma that she managed to exude with the titular heroine. Even though her highest notes did tend to be strident, i.e. high in the larynx, and she could have lowered her larynx a little bit more to reach those said notes, and even though I think that her voice could use a whole lot more development, I could still give mad props to Lisette Oropesa for carrying the weight of the entire show. Obviously, the weight of the show rested on her shoulders. Nevertheless, she carried through, she proved herself so well as the titular heroine, and she was able to give a lot of vocal and theatrical magic as Manon. So brava to Lisette Oropesa for a job solidly done, and I do hope that she keeps developing her technique in the right way, and I seriously hope that her star will never fade. Singing her De Grieux was Michael Fabiano. De Grieux has also been coveted by a lot of full lyric and light lyric tenors. Interestingly enough, the first De Grieux was also the first of Man and the first Gérald from Lacmé, Jean-Alexandre Talazac. And speaking of the vocal demands of this character, not only do you need the light lyricism of a Gérald and of course the more passionate power of an Hoffmann, but you also need the grace found in other light lyric tenor roles such as Pedrillo and Belmonte from Die Entführung aus dem Serail, Ferrando from Così fan tutte, Tamino from Die Zauberflöte, Horry from Le Comptoir, Cavaliere Belfiore from Il Viaggio a Reims, Elvino from La Sonnambula, Arturo from I Puritani, Tebaldo from I Capuletti e Montecchi, and also combine that with the fuller sounding roles of the Duke from Rigoletto and Alfredo from La Traviata. This role definitely calls for a lot of great musicianship, a superb sense of musicality, and a lot of great discipline, control, and essentially reaching for those high demands. And I thought that Michael Fabiano, as always, did a very superb job in terms of embodying the Grieux in all of his exuberance and all of his charm and in all of his charisma. Yes, he continues to show stridency in his voice, but that stridency is used to great effect in a lot of the more intense moments and to also paint a picture of how intense, passionate, and youthful De Grieux is, considering that he is a man in his 20s and Manon is in her late teens. Suffice to say, Michael Fabiano showed no signs of backing down. He showed no signs of tiredness, and he managed to stay strong all throughout the opera, which is a huge A+ I can give to him because of how much he was able to endure and because of how much he was able to give to this hero. When all is said and done, I salute Michael Fabiano for everything that he managed to accomplish, and I hope that he continues to stay strong as a singing actor with everything he's got, and I hope that he will continue to take on more challenging roles with open arms. Artur Rushinsky, who is a baritone whose career I've been following for quite some time, sang the role of Manon's cousin, Le Sergent Lescaut. Now, with this particular role, you do need either a cavalier baritone or even that of a dramatic baritone who can nonetheless sing rather lyrically. Many a la school would even go out of their way to sing the likes of Il Conte di Luna from Il Trovatore, Chaunard from La Bohème, Malatesta from Don Pasquale, Belcore from L'Elisir d'Amore, Ford from Falstaff, Heroine from Die Lustigen Weiber von Windsor, and many other great roles for a cavalier baritone. And I thought that Artur Rushinsky did a fine and serviceable job singing the role of Lescaut. He does have a nice wobble-free voice, which is nonetheless wonderfully pleasant to listen to, and I could definitely see a lot of potential for him to keep on growing and keep on striving as a singer. Sure, I do have at my disposal all of the great baritones of the past, including the likes of Robert Merrill and even Lawrence Tibbett, because those were far more developed, rich, and absolutely virile voices. And I'm sure that once Artur Rushinsky gets a good listen to those voices and can see what they manage to do with their mouths and how they manage their overall technique, I'm pretty sure that Artur Rushinsky will keep on growing and will also strengthen his overall technique, because that is a voice that has a lot of potential to keep on shining, and I do not want to see his star fading anytime soon. And yes, there were times he did go a bit hammy, but nonetheless, he was quite charming to watch, and he was kind of a joy to witness in his own special way, considering how much hard work he managed to put in this particular character. Kwang Chul-yun sang the role of Le Comte de Grieux. Now, even though this role isn't as huge as, let's say, Philip II from Don Carlo, or even that of Ramfis from Aida, you still need either a basso cantante or a basso profondo to embody this particular role. Famous exponents of Le Comte de Grieux include the likes of Jerome Hines and Antonio Zerbini. And what you need in this role is the agility and the grace found in roles such as Don Pasquale, Dulcamara, Don Magnifico, and Don Prudencio, and combine those aspects with a strong, virile, and absolutely formidable presence found in roles such as Hagen from Götterdämmerung, Kaspar from Der Freischütz, and even that of Lodovico from Otello. So it is basically combining those aspects to make this character come alive. And even though Kwang Chul-yun had some trouble with his voice, such as a wobble that has been pretty persistent in the later parts of his career, I could still give him mad props in terms of how he was able to embody Le Comte de Grieux in all of his dignity and in all of his masculinity. He was a force to be reckoned with in terms of how much life he was able to give to Le Comte de Grieux, and for that, I have to give him a lot of mad props for embodying this character with a sufficient amount of grace, masculinity, and an absolutely formidable stage presence. Brett Polgato as de Bretonnier was absolutely solid all around. Yes, it is not as huge as, let's say, Il Conte di Luna from Il Trovatore, or even that of Ford from Falstaff, but nonetheless, many de Bretonnier have also went out of their way to sing roles such as Dr. Bartolo from Il Barbiere di Siviglia, Taddeo from L'Italiano in Algeri, Dandini from La Cenerentola, and even that of Loitol from Rossini's Guillaume Tell. Essentially, you do need a character baritone or even that of a character bass to embody this wonderful part in all of his elegant masculinity and in all of his charm. And I thought that Brett Polegato did a great job on that. I have been following his career by name, as he's been very well known in singing a lot of lyric baritone roles, such as Papageno and Eugenio Onegin. And hearing him in this role for the very first time managed to give me a very strong impression on not only his voice, but also his skills as a singing actor. He had a lot of charisma, charm, and that hypnotic quality about him that made him all the more enthralling to witness. And for that, Brett Polegato managed to make the role of de Bretonnier his own, with everything that he has as a singing actor, and with all of the magnetic charm that he managed to bear embodying this particular character part. Speaking of character part, We also have Carlo Bossi, who has been very well known in a lot of the character tenor roles, singing the role of Guillaume de Montfontaine. Don't be fooled by the fact that this is a character tenor part, because you still need a very strong singing actor to embody this licentious tycoon. And many a Guillaume de Montfontaine have also sung the likes of Spallanzani from Le Comte of Man, Junker Sperlich from the Lustigen Weiber von Windsor, and maybe in their prime Almaviva from Il Barbiere di Siviglia. So essentially, you do need to have a character tenor who can sing lyrically, but who can also act the part very well. And I thought that Carlo Bossi managed to do the role very well, both vocally and theatrically. He did have a strong and formidable stage presence, and nonetheless, where he can be roguishly giddy as Guillaume de Montfontaine, thus making him a very accomplished singing actor. He was able to steal the show in this particular role, and he managed to make me eat out of the palms of his hands. There was also some equally fine singing to be accomplished by Jacqueline Eccles, sparklingly gorgeous and absolutely lovely Poussette, whose voice does show a lot of potential to grow in both the lyric and lyric coloratura soprano repertoires. Laura Crumb's gorgeous and sweetly toned Javotte, whose wonderful stage presence also made her quite a fine singer to look out for. Maya Lachiani's equally gorgeous and fine Rosette, and I'm sure that if she keeps developing her chest tones, she will definitely make it to greatness. Paul Corona's gentlemanly innkeeper, whose bass baritone voice manages to keep showing so much potential to grow, thrive, and survive in the operatic world. Mario Boggs and Jung Chol Cha's finely sung guards, and Edita Kulshak's superbly acted maid. So overall, the singing was absolutely great all around, especially when you have two leading singers such as Lisette Oropesa and Michael Fabiano, who were able to sing up a storm in the roles of the tragic lovers Manon and De Grieux respectively. Their chemistry with each other was so palpable, so strong, and so awesome that they managed to steal the show from everyone else's feet. And I should also not forget just how professional and just how charismatic these two were as singing actors. So I really hope to see a lot more of them, and I hope they will continue to thrive so magnificently. And the conducting done by Maurizio Benigni was fine all around. He did his job very well in ensuring that the orchestra was kept together and managed to sound harmonious. And of course, the chorus, the orchestra, and the ballet dancers of the Metropolitan Opera House were absolutely amazing. So overall, with a very fine production done by Laurent Pelly and equally great singing to be found in Lisette Oropesa and Michael Fabiano as Manon and De Grieux respectively, plus some fine conducting done by Maurizio Benigni, last night's performance of Massenet's Manon was an absolute joy to witness. And for those of you who saw this particular production of Massenet's Manon at the Metropolitan Opera House, or even live stream from the Met, what did you think of it? Did you really feel that Lisette Oropesa and Michael Fabiano stole the show as the titular heroes, Manon and De Grieux? Was there another singer who stole their thunder, such as Arturo Chinsky, Kwang Chul-yun, Brett Polegato, and or Carlo Bossi? Or did you feel like there was someone for the singers who stuck out like a sore thumb? Comment below and let me know. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in next time for another review. So until then, have a great day, everybody.